If I'm being honest, probably some of business has changed me. It's been more of that growth over the years of learning to not be quite so much of an arsehole as I was. I think mistakes I've made in my personal life have changed me. And I suppose you can be selective about the rules you're going to break. So if they don't hurt anyone else, then there's part of me that says, well, rules are there to be broken. But if they're going to hurt someone, then they're there for a good reason and just obey them, right? Just do the right thing.
Hello and welcome to the Real Biz Life Chronicles, where we discuss all things business, branding, and life from the Horizon Digital podcast recording studio here in Perth. I'm your host, Tracy, the founder of Design Studio Perth. And because Design Studio Perth is dedicated to helping business owners grow with distinction through captivating branding and design, we're offering all our listeners a free brand discovery. So if you find yourself frustrated with your current brand and you're not too sure where to next, use the link in the show notes below to book in a time to have a chat. Now, the Real Biz Life Chronicles is on a mission to become one of Australia's leading business podcasts. But in order to do that, we please need your help. If you do enjoy today's episode, and I have no doubt that you will enjoy, we ask that you please like and subscribe to our channels below, or simply share this episode with a fellow business owner who is doing one of the hardest things in the world, building a business. Now, I don't know about you, but I find some of the best conversations are had over a delicious cup of coffee. And so the coffee for each episode of the Real Biz Life Chronicles is brewed by no other than the legends at Cuppa Cartel. They're fueling real conversations, one cuppa at a time. You can use the link in the show notes below to check them out. They offer a full corporate valet service for you and your crew at the office. My guest today didn't follow the rule book. He wrote it with a smirk. Picture this. You've just earned your chartered accountant credentials. Your parents are proud, your path is clear, your future is secure. Most people would take the win, settle in and climb the ladder, but not him. He took one look at that life and said, no thanks. Instead, he walked away and ran straight into the unknown, landing in computer sales just as the IBM PC era was about to explode. It wasn't calculated, it was gut instinct. And it's a pattern that would define his entire career. Over the next few decades, he didn't just change jobs. He changed countries, careers, and even the way he saw himself. From Kent to Jersey to Perth, from IT strategy to startup trenches, he followed a compass that didn't point north, it pointed truth. People say he's sharp, decisive, sometimes stubborn, but always real. The kind of person who values loyalty over politeness and action over theory. The kind who will tell you what he thinks with zero spin and then buy you a wine to make up for it later. And underneath the strategic mind and the straight talker, a man who quietly shows up when it matters. The kind of dad who spent years driving to dance lessons, sitting through full-day comps and funding sparkly dresses, all because his daughter loved it. And yes, she became a national ballroom champion. The kind of mate who, when someone's world is falling apart, just turns up and takes the kids for the day. No fuss, no need to be asked. He's a dad of 3, a new grandpa, a MotoGP junkie, and the co-founder of Tango IT, a business built on grit, heart, and straight-up honesty. From the moment I met him, we bonded over being straight talkers. He's the kind of guy who gets brand, not just as a tool, but as a promise you don't break. This episode is about identity, evolution, and why the riskiest career move might just be the final doing that lights you up. Mark Birkinshaw, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tracy. That's an intro that I think taught me something.
Really? How so?
Just some things that I'd maybe forgotten about myself that I didn't realise I might have told people. So thank you for that.
Of course. Only a pleasure. I am so looking forward to our chat today. Mark, when you were a chartered accountant, you were that person on paper, but were you really ever that guy?
No, absolutely not. It wasn't me. It just wasn't me.
And hence the pivot, you kind of got pulled in a different direction?
Yes, it wasn't an intentional pivot. It was being badgered by someone I didn't really respect, but then made an offer that I couldn't really refuse, and got me into an industry that I actually had a desire to find out more about. And it went on from there. I found a place where, from a career perspective, I could enjoy what I was doing, and I could be successful.
And was that someone in the computer space that gave you that opportunity, or?
It was, although his background was more in just pure sales of office systems. For if anyone remembers, in the very ancient past, a company called Kalamazoo, who used to make triplicate systems for running a business on paper.
Right.
He was a branch manager there and moved to a small computer dealership to sell computer software and hardware, and recruited me into there.
And now I know, becoming a chartered accountant, that takes years. Isn't it like 5 or 6 years?
It can take that long. If you can do an accelerated 3-year. I don't know how long it takes today, but back then, we're going back a very long way, Tracy. Back then, it took me just over 3 years, working within a chartered accounting firm and going to college during the week. And so it was a target I set myself to do. I achieved it and then realised I was in the wrong game.
And what made you realise that? Was it just you didn't feel like it was for you, or?
I think part of it was that accounting is about an analysis of what's gone before, and that didn't excite me.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that our customers appreciated what they were paying for because it was telling them what had happened. It wasn't helping them decide what could happen.
Sure. And then I'd love to know, how did Tango start for our listeners? I know the story, but for them, I'd love you to share.
How did Tango start? So when I came to Perth 20 years ago, I met a couple of Scottish gentlemen. I use the word gentleman loosely, but they know that. Called Ian and Mike, who were running a small IT consulting business. And they wanted me to buy into the business and become a partner in the business. The timing wasn't right, and whilst I got on with both of them very well from a friendship perspective, one of them probably wouldn't have been a fit from a business perspective.
Sure.
So, but we didn't kind of go our separate ways. We stayed in touch. Ian and I became very good friends, individually and family. And the question was often asked, and eventually the timing and my situation was right. So I said to Ian one day, "Do you still want to do this?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay, but I don't want to buy into DSBS, your company." And he kind of frowned and looked at me and went, "I thought you said you were ready to do it." And I said, "Well, what I'd like to do is take the original part from 15 years ago that you set up and move that into a brand new entity, and all the other things you've built round it over the years, I don't want. I'm not interested in." And he thought about it for a bit and then just went, "Yes, okay." And we spent the next 6 months planning what Tango would be. A lot of it in Maccas over really healthy lunches, either that or really healthy beers in the pub.
Very healthy choices.
Yeah. And launched Tango in early 2019. And we've not looked back.
And something I love about you guys is that you really understand brand and the power of it. Do you want to walk us through how the name came about?
Okay, so if you heard what I mentioned earlier about Ian's previous company, it was called DSBS. And no matter how many times I say it, you'll probably not be able to write it down. The full name came from Donaldson Sloan Business Services, which was their surnames. So very lawyery, accounting kind of, the name has to be in the business because it's mine.
Yeah.
And I said, when we were doing our planning, I said, I want a household name as the name. So Ian said, well, what's a household name? And I said, well, it's an object, it's an item, it's something that people can visualize, they can write it down, they can hear it the first time you say it. I don't want a weird thing that's got an I dash or something else in it. And we actually spent a lot of time writing lists with headings like furniture, fruit, vegetables, right, and listing all the ones we could think of.
Yeah.
And then you think of some of the really big successful companies, right? Apple, right? It's a fruit, right? Way back when I was selling computers in the UK, an English company started manufacturing computers called Apricot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But though it had no bearing on what they did, it became a recognisable brand, right? So when we were making those lists, I actually made a fundamental error, and I put the word Tango in the list of fruit.
Right.
And I can't remember what I was thinking. I don't think it was mango. I think it was tangerine.
Tangerine, I was going to say, yeah.
And the problem, well, then what happened was we were checking the names in the list to see if domain names were available and to see if names were available on ASIC.
Yeah.
Right? And as we got down to Tango, Ian commented that he, in his previous company, had sponsored my daughter in the year that her and her dance partner became Australian national champions.
Right.
And of course, one of the 5 core ballroom dances is the tango. And being Poms with, a Pom and a Scotsman with an irreverent sense of humour, we started talking about the advert that got banned in the UK for a soft drink called Tango.
Right.
It got banned because the advert, we've got a copy of it, the advert on YouTube, had a man in a big fat orange suit using stop motion video, because they didn't have any of the fancy stuff we have nowadays, to run around someone who was opening a can of Tango and taking a sip. And as the guy took a sip, the man in the orange suit would slap him round the face.
Ah, right.
Right? And the expression that came on the guy's face was like, ooh,
Yeah.
because, and then the tagline was, you know when you've been tangoed.
Right.
And we were thinking of that, and then we thought, no, we just can't use that. That's just, you can't use a banned advert. It got banned because kids started going around the playground at school, slapping each other around the face, saying you've been tangoed.
Yeah.
And of course, as is common in society, instead of addressing the behaviour, they banned the advert. But there we go.
Yeah.
By the way, Tango as the drink in the UK still exists. It has much less offensive advertising.
Oh, good.
I still prefer the original advert.
Yeah.
And you can actually find it on the shelves in the English section in IGA.
I think I've seen it there. Yeah.
And stuff like that. So, but essentially, what that meant was we talked around it and we settled on the name Tango, because we also said, well, the dance, right? It takes 2.
Yeah.
So we were thinking it's us and our customers. It takes passion, it takes dedication, it takes skill, right? And we were just getting on runaway with all of these kind of linked connotations that we thought we could use in marketing with the name. So we kind of calmed ourselves down after a little bit, and but decided that Tango would be the name, because the URL was available.
Great, which is lucky.
And we could register it with ASIC. So, and it went from there. We had a bit of fun, shall I say, embarrassing fun at the start. So we use a phrase that we were kind of taught partway through the development of the company from other people, that is ask an expert, right? If it's not in your field of expertise, don't DIY.
Yeah.
Right?
Great advice.
But before we got this advice and took it on board, we did. And we created our own logo.
Right.
And we created some business cards, just a small batch run of 100, and a dummy web page that was invisible unless you gave someone the URL, and kind of spread it out to all of our professional and personal contacts to say, what do you think of this? Really feeling chuffed with ourselves as to what we'd put together. Yeah. The logo, by the way, next to the word Tango was a silhouette of 2 ballroom dancers.
Right.
Yes. Okay. So I can immediately see Tracy's face going,
It's like,
what
oh
the hell?
my goodness,
Right.
yeah.
And the feedback from everyone, right, without exception, was, what the hell is this? And who the hell are you guys now?
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you selling? Right? We don't understand.
Yeah.
And I remember we looked at each other when we got this feedback and we sat there going, well, it's obvious, isn't it? How can they not understand? But anyway, so we took on board the fact that that was obviously rubbish. So we went to a friend of Ian's who was a graphic designer and said, mates rates, can you do us a logo for the name Tango? And he came up with what is essentially on our...
Right.
That is our logo, the word Tango in those colours with the G that's not a G. It's a special character, it's a special design.
Yes.
And we got that back and we thought, oh, that looks nice. So we did the same as we did before. We did 100 business cards and a dummy web page. And we sent it out to the same people, and the responses were all unanimously like, wow, that's good.
Yeah.
Now we understand. Right, because there was a tagline and a bit of spiel, and the response was just so different, right? That was, if you like, the first lesson of Ask an Expert that we've had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once we had that in place, we both kind of latched onto the fact that it was essential to promote that and protect it and make it ours. Right, that it wasn't the Mark and Ian show. It wasn't the description of what we do. It was Tango, right? Even to the point that we've dropped the IT in the last. We've dropped mentioning it, if you like, in a lot of areas over the last couple of years. But officially, the name of the company is now Tango, the business name.
Yes.
Because we were being confused with MSPs and people who sell IT, which we don't do because we're strategic advisory, independent consulting. But nevertheless, the Tango is sacrosanct, right? And now with you and your team working with us, I think you understand how important it is to us, but you've built out on that for us in terms of some of the stuff that you've done. You and your team have done recently.
And it's been great being a part of that journey as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think you've highlighted 2 very important things, Mark. So number 1 is the thought process when you're actually choosing a business name. Also making sure that the business name is available, because I've had the odd occasion where someone has a business name, like, oh, so excited. And then I'm like, have you registered it? And they say no. Then we have a look and it's taken. So, and sometimes some people are actually going to have done the branding and haven't actually checked, if the business name is available. And the second one, and I learned this the hard way with my accounting. I tried to do it on my own for a little while, lost a whole weekend in Xero. So yes, asking an expert, having your branding done properly, because from what you mentioned, it illustrates exactly the different way that the visual identity was received.
Yes. And I think we might have been a bit slow on following up on that, but we did. So, for instance, initially our website was one we put together, right, with a little bit of help from a techie and the graphic designer.
Sure.
But then once we felt we could afford it, we bit the bullet and went to an organisation that could build, whose role in life was to build good websites.
Yes.
And when they finished it, it got in the finals of the Australian Web Awards.
Amazing.
Right? Which, considering, it's not flashy, it's not, loads of pictures and videos and flashing lights and all this, that and the other, because we're a professional services company. To make that final was because of the content and the structure, right? So we did the right thing then in doing that, and hopefully we're still learning from that first lesson.
Yeah.
That when we venture into an area that we're going to spend money on, or that's important to the growth of Tango, that we go and get expertise rather than winging it. Although we both have an aptitude for winging it.
Same.
Have done for way longer than Tango's been in existence, so it's a difficult habit to break.
And as a business owner, you could obviously see the value, like afterwards, in having it, your website professionally done.
Oh yes. Suddenly, it lent credibility. It validated us when people wanted to check, were we real? Did our website line up with our LinkedIn business profile? Was there consistency across the messaging? Yeah. And then over time, improving things like the content and the SEO to make it so that we're easier to find for the things we want to be found for. And that's the other half of the challenge. We don't spend a fortune on SEO. Right? The way it's done is pretty efficient and seems to get us good results.
Great. And Mark, for our listeners, perhaps you could give us insight into what Tango does.
Okay, so in short, our aim in life is to stop medium-sized business owners and senior executives making bad investment choices in IT. Because, let's be blunt, most of them do make bad investment choices. If you think who they are a passionate business owner. They are a senior executive who's an expert in finance or an expert in sales or operations or people and culture, whatever it is, right? But invariably, they don't know much about IT.
Yeah.
At the other end of the part, that size of business relies usually on an MSP or might have one person in-house that does their IT with the support of an MSP. And those people, the very nature of the beast is that they don't have years of experience of doing strategic planning and aligning with business objectives, right? They're techies at heart.
Yeah.
So we act, if you like, as call it the Google Translate between the customer and the suppliers.
Sure.
Yeah. So we come at it from a business perspective. We look at their business processes. We look at how well aligned their technology is to those processes and where the gaps are. We come up with what their future should look like in terms of technology and how they can get there. And then we guide them on that journey. We're their partner on that journey. Now, there's a lot of ancillary services around that constitute that whole thing. But in essence, that's what we're about. That's our core mission was to become the go-to company in West Australia for independent technology advice for medium-sized business and local and state government. That was our mission.
Yeah.
I think it's a journey that we are meeting with success, but there's a long way to go.
And Mark, where do you find most business owners go wrong with their IT?
They don't properly sit down and think, what do we actually need? And not just today, what do we actually need for our future business strategy to have IT that supports it? And if you don't, it's a bit like, if you were planning a road trip, yeah? Or if you were going to go on a road trip, yeah? But you don't actually list where you want to go. You just jump in the car and say, let's go.
Yeah.
That's what most business owners do when they get IT. So invariably, they don't end up in nice places, right? They end up spending a lot more money than they should.
Sure.
And they put the very important people, their staff, offside, right? Because usually they don't communicate what they're doing until it's there in front of them. Yeah. So it's as simple as that. As if you were going to go on a road trip, you would sit down and say, well, where do I want to visit? How much money have I got? How much would I like to spend?
Yeah.
Right? Because you might then plan to overspend when you find out what the costs are and where you really want to go.
Yeah.
And how long have I got? Right? You can't plan a road trip around the whole of Australia if you've got a week.
Yeah.
Very
ambitious.
Yeah. So I think that's the essence of why people make mistakes. And they're very busy people, and they're focused on other areas.
Yeah.
And they're focused on growing a business. Yeah. So they are susceptible to not intentionally bad advice, but suppliers have a product set to sell. That's how their business succeeds.
Right.
So when they go in to talk to a customer, they're not identifying independently what the customer needs for their business process automation or other things. What they're identifying is where their product can fit.
Yeah.
And then sell just those bits to get their product into the customer. And that invariably ends up with a bad fit and a bad taste in the mouth and money spent that no one really sees the value out of. So anyway, our aim in life is to stop that happening and make that whole process a bit more logical, a bit less stressful on the business owner or executive who's making those decisions. In some organisations, invariably, IT ends up with the CFO.
Yeah.
Or the Director of Corporate Services. And it's been that way for so long, and yet really maybe going back through my life, the accountant isn't an IT person.
Yeah.
Right?
or a graphic designer for that case.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask, if someone is feeling overwhelmed at the idea of their IT, they don't quite know where to start. I guess branding, again, is quite similar. The business owner doesn't quite know where to start. What would your advice be there?
Well, the simple one is find an expert that's been recommended, that's referenceable, that's got testimonials, and ask them. Yeah. Any expert that's worth their salt as a normal human being will happily divulge a huge amount of valuable information over a coffee or a beer.
Yes.
Right? We've had the benefit of that over the years. Yesterday was a case in point, right? And I don't think people take enough advantage of that. I think they're scared they're going to get sold at. I think they're scared they're going to then have a commitment, right, to pay someone for their advice.
Yeah.
And I know that if Ian was sat here, he would agree with me 100% that we're more than happy to talk to people and provide free advice on the basis that sooner or later, right, they are going to be in a position where they can't action the advice we give them, right? No. They can understand it. It can prevent them from making bad choices, but they can't action the good stuff. So then they're going to come to us and say, now I want to pay for your help.
Yeah.
Right. It might be a week later, 3 months later, or 2 years later.
Yes.
Right. Who knows? Right. But eventually, some of those people will come back and be a customer, a paying customer. So, and we're lucky we've met a lot of people like that here in Perth who are happy to educate for free, shall I say. And that's helped us in our business a lot.
And Mark, what would you say to, to business owners that are thinking of going into business as a partnership? What advice would you give them there? Because I know sometimes, it can be quite tricky to navigate. It has its pros and cons.
Yeah, so I see a lot of solopreneurs, a lot of people who run a business that they've started and they run it on their own. And I feel sometimes I feel their pain because they don't have someone to challenge them and to tell them they're being an idiot. Right? Okay.
Yeah, only that sometimes.
They don't have all the skill sets, right? And so doing it on your own, often it stresses people out. Yeah. And then I see them bounce from business coach to business coach because, there are some excellent business coaches out there, but there are far more that really are of no hope.
Totally.
And helped people. And I've seen some people go through 3 or 4 business coaches.
Oh, wow.
Before they either find one that works and resonates with them, or run out of money and give up.
Yeah, because it's an expense.
However, starting up with someone else, right, can be fraught with danger. Luckily for Ian and myself, we had a close friendship before we started Tango. We had worked together professionally on and off for a number of years on various things. So we kind of understood that we both held very similar values in life and in business. Not the same, but very similar. But we also realised that we could trust each other, right? We didn't have to be writing contracts and looking over our shoulders every 5 minutes. Yeah. And that can't be said when people start a business with more than one person either. I just think we've been lucky. I've been really lucky. Yeah. People can't always luck into that. And my advice is, if you're going to go with someone else, right, just make sure you've got a Loctite shareholders agreement, that you've actually talked things through in detail about your values, about where you want the business to go, where you don't want it to go. Yeah. Don't make assumptions. Don't leave those conversations for later. And people doing it on their own, the adage of ask an expert is even more important, right? Because if a solopreneur is trying to do everything to run a business, then they've got no time for their passion. And why do you start a business if you don't have time to enjoy your passion, right?
So true.
I mean, what's the point, right? There's this dream of being in control of your hours and your fun and your income and all this, that and the other. And how many business owners genuinely say, oh yeah, that's a thing when you're in your first few years?
Yeah.
No, it's not, right? You've got to put hard work in. You've got to ride the storms. You've got to have trust and faith in what you're doing. Yeah. And then out the back of your head, you've got to keep an eye on the numbers. You've got to keep an eye on people. You've got to keep an eye on what's happening with customers and everything else.
Everything.
Right? So it's not the kind of source to life that everyone thinks it is.
No.
Yeah. So I suppose my first bit of advice is think very carefully about what you're doing and why.
Yeah.
And if you still want to do it, right, then if you're going to do it on your own, make sure you've got a network of people to give you good advice and to challenge that you can go to and say, I've got this idea. And you need people that are going to go, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you do. Right? And if you're going to go into business with one or more other people, then do your due diligence, even if you're friends. Right?
Completely.
That's it, really.
Mark, you've moved countries, changed careers, and started over more than once. What did these resets really cost you, and what did they give you in return?
I don't think they really cost me a huge amount. When I came to Perth, initially it cost me a big downgrade in my career. Right? Perth is an odd place. Right? The old adage, it's not what you know, it's who you know, is very, very true. And the higher up the food chain you are, the more relevant that is. So I would literally turn up for an interview for a job as a CIO or equivalent, and the people interviewing me would go, so who do you know in Perth that we can talk to about you? And I said, well, I've just got off the plane.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, right. Okay. So what's your experience in the oil and gas industry or the mining industry? Right? I'm like, I came from Jersey.
Yeah. That
was all financial services. Right? And I felt like saying, why did you ask me for interview? It's all in my resume. I've just got off a plane. I worked for the last 14 years of head of IT for a financial services organisation.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what sector I've worked in if I'm going to transform your IT. But there was such a an aversion to risk-taking in Perth. Yeah. So I had to come up with a strategy which got around that, which was basically I dumbed down my resume, picked on a couple of companies that I wanted to work in. Didn't matter what the role was, really.
Yeah.
And very quickly got into one, which was Monadelphous.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots of opinions about Monadelphous as a company. Yeah? A bunch of crazy Italian engineers, right, is one of them.
Yeah.
And that's pretty factual. But the one thing about Monadelphous was it was capable of being successful, right? And it was loyal, and I believe still is, to its people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And although, because it was project-based, it would often slash people and then hire them again.
Yeah.
Right? It would look for the same people when it needed to hire again. And the people that stayed on, I mean, I know people who've been there for their whole career almost. Yeah. So that was a good step. And it eventually got me from there to get headhunted for a CIO role. That was not such a good move as it happened.
Right.
It wasn't the best of environments. And then the GFC hit. I got made redundant, started doing contract consulting work. And then eventually that's what led to me saying to Ian, I'm ready now.
I see.
Let's
okay.
do Tango.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but apart from that, the moves to another country didn't really cost me anything. They added so much to me.
Yeah.
The refresh, if you like, the different environment. I mean, you know, the island of Jersey, people think, you know, of it as an offshore tax haven.
Yes, so I've heard.
It's heavily predicated on financial services, and yes, there's a lot of tax mitigation that goes on through offshore vehicles, you know, trusts and companies. But it is very, very heavily regulated, much more so than financial services in countries in the EU that used to complain about them, and much more heavily regulated than Australia. Yeah. The key thing is it's 80,000 drunks clinging to a rock. And my friends from Jersey that are still there, if they heard this, they'd probably go, well, yeah, it is.
Right.
Or it was. Whether it still is, I haven't been there for quite a while.
Sure.
Although I'm going back next year.
Oh, great.
To visit some friends. But I think, you know, when I got there, that was the thing that shocked me the most, was everyone would go out every night of the week drinking.
Jeez, it's quite ingrained in the culture.
Very ingrained in the culture at the time. There was also some very funny things at the time, which, like, it was illegal to hire, this is back in the day of VHS videos.
Right.
Even pre-Blockbuster, where you rented videos.
Yeah.
You couldn't rent one on a Sunday.
Oh.
Because that was officially entering into a legal contract when you actually hire something.
Right, wow.
And no legal contracts were allowed to be entered into on Sundays because it was heavily strict Methodist influenced
Sure.
legal system and societal system.
Yes.
You weren't allowed to dance on a Sunday.
Oh.
All the nightclubs were open.
Right. From Saturday night to Sunday morning, do you mean?
No. On Sunday
On a Sunday.
evening.
Oh.
Yes.
Double standards.
Oh, yeah. Well, one of our friends was a DJ, and what they'd do is they'd include in your ticket a meal, so they could say they were a restaurant, so that you could have a drink.
Oh, I see.
Right, on a Sunday, and then they would put tables for you to eat at on the dance floor.
Right.
But they would never fill the dance floor. And a good friend of ours was a DJ, and he was comedian, would be an apt description. And a lot of tourists would come over to Jersey in the summer, right? It was a tourist destination. And he'd start playing the latest dance music and would be taking the mickey out of all of the people there, going, what's up with you tourists? You know, we'd call them grockles.
Right.
That was the nickname for tourists. And he was like, what's up with you grockles? Can't you dance? Don't you like dancing? Right?
Yeah.
Are you shy? Right? All this, that and the other, until eventually he'd force them to get up and start dancing.
Dancing, yeah.
And then the poor doorman would have to go over and tap everyone on the shoulder and say, sorry, you can't dance.
Because it was a Sunday.
Right?
Wow.
You know, so Pete was the guy's name, the DJ. He used to love doing that. And
Yeah.
the doorman would hate him for it, right? But so lots of odd things about Jersey, but it was colloquial, shall we say.
Yeah.
It was 14 kilometres by 8.
Gee.
yeah,
Yes.
with about 800 kilometres of roads.
Right.
Yeah.
Puts it in
Very, very
perspective.
narrow ones.
Yeah.
One of the things that still makes me chuckle is in Perth, drivers will stop if there's a parked car, right, when there's enough to get 3 buses alongside through.
Yes.
In Jersey, you would get those 3 buses through a tiny little narrow lane at 40 k's an hour, passing each other without even taking a breath.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, so, and then when I came to Australia, I mean, sorry, but this is just the best place in the world.
I love it as well.
If you add everything up, yeah, there are a few places where this might be better or that might be better or the other might be better. When you add everything up, whether lack of traffic, I know people who've never left Perth think there's too much traffic, but there's none, right, in real terms, in cities around the world. Again, crime rates are going up, but lack of crime compared to other big cities. The opportunity in Perth, whether you want to start a business or whether you want to just have a good standard of life by working hard, right? The opportunity in Perth is phenomenal.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
Then you add in the beaches, the weather. When I first came over, I couldn't believe free barbecues.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, what's this about? And then my first morning when I got up and walked down the street, right, to go and get some stuff from the local shop on the corner, I'm walking down the street at about, 7:30 in the morning, and someone walks past and said, "G'day."
Yeah.
And I kind of jumped, right? Because, in England, you didn't speak to strangers on the street.
You?
No.
Right. Yeah, I mean, South Africa's a bit the same.
Yeah. So just odd things that were different. It has its faults, and Australia has its faults.
Yeah, like
everywhere
anywhere.
does. But definitely call this home. Love it. Wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
You and me both. I really, really, I just love Perth. It's just, again, that opportunity that you mentioned. I mean, I probably would have never had my own business, let alone my own podcast in South Africa. So it's great to have that opportunity. Yeah. Mark, you're super direct, no sugarcoating. Have you ever regretted being that honest, and does it always serve you in the long run? I know we're quite similar in that regard.
Yes, Tracy. Look, whether I would have been more or less successful without that, I have no idea. I am where I am because of who I am and what I do and how I do it. I don't have a problem with that, right? Ian, my business partner and friend, occasionally, not has a problem with it, occasionally. I think maybe he might feel a bit battered and bruised.
Yeah.
But I don't see that. I don't go out to insult people.
No,
I don't
neither.
go out to harm people, or to bring them in. Bring them to tears or bring them pain
anyway,
and harm it.
Or hurts,
None of that. So with that in mind, I don't see the point in pussyfooting around and spending a week trying to get a message across when you could just sit down and say, "This is what I think. This is what should happen." Right. And and if people don't like that, then they probably wouldn't work with me or do business with me.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah, completely. I'm a bit the same in that way. Sometimes I have to watch because I can be super direct afterwards. I'm like, oh, maybe I should have toned that down just a little bit because see the person's face like, oh, whoopsie. But again, it's just, I'm the same. Like, why beat about the bush and week to get through one thing? Rather sit down, have that convo. And I appreciate that when someone does that to me as well. Like, Tracy, you've been an idiot, or you need to do this, or need to do that. And it's like, you just save so much time, I find. But Mark, what's one story you never tell in interviews but feel comfortable to share today?
Oh, my word. This isn't an interview thing. Definitely not. But it's a very funny story. Well, I think it is anyway. So when I first went to Jersey, I actually went at the behest of a good friend of mine in Manchester. He had lived in Jersey prior. He was a real Manc, which is the name for someone from Manchester who is passionate about Manchester.
Right.
But
I thought you meant like a hobo or something. Sorry. It's a real mank.
Not manky.
Oh, right.
And his partner she was pregnant, and they wanted the baby born in Jersey, because the thing about Jersey is there's things around residential qualifications. And if someone's born there and they're there for 10 years, then they get their residential qualifications.
Got it.
So there's nothing to stop people going to live and work in Jersey, but you can't get certain types of property unless you've got residential qualifications.
Sure.
So it was a key thing. So he had resigned and was heading back to Jersey. He knew I wasn't happy at the time. And so he said, well, why don't you come to Jersey? And I'm like, what? I thought, are you mad?
Yeah.
Right. I didn't, well, how can I? Because I was under the misconception I couldn't. And he said, no, you can. We'll just go over. He said, you get work easy. He said, you're a qualified accountant, right? You sell computers. You install, well, I wasn't selling them anymore. I was actually doing more of a consultative role.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And he said, you'll get a job easy, right? Let's just go over. Just come over with me. And I went, okay. So we went through the process of selling all our worldly possessions except for the ones we desperately wanted to take. And that included our motor vehicles were company cars at the time. So we weren't going to take a car with us, but we needed transport because we were going to drive down to Portsmouth and get the ferry over. So we went to an auction and bought an very old Volvo. No, Saab, sorry. Very old Saab 99. And I used it to drive around in for 2 months. Very reliable. Yeah. Horrible to drive, but very reliable. And the day came and we loaded up all our stuff. We'd been out on the Source the night before.
Right.
So we had a bit of a hangover. And we had to pack and then drive all the way down from Manchester to Portsmouth to get to the ferry. So we loaded everything up, including, literally, if it had been videoed at the time, there would have been like, we go out with something, one person would open the door, the other one would throw the thing in, and the other person would shut the door quickly before everything fell out. Right? It was not organised packing. So we drove down to Portsmouth. We got there early and decided to go and have a game of squash after we checked in.
Nice. With a hangover?
Oh, no, we didn't have one by then.
Oh, gosh, I was going to say, you guys are game.
So we went for the game of squash, came back, and on the way back, the car basically punched its upright rear strut through the suspension bar and started digging a ditch along the tarmac.
Oh, no.
With sparks flying up the back.
Oh.
So we kind of stopped, got out, and then I drove it into the nearest car park with my friend Bernie, watching from behind in case the sparks turned into something a bit more dangerous. in which case, knowing him very well, he wouldn't have warned me. He'd have just run away.
Oh, right.
And we kind of abandoned the car there, but it was the car park for Sunseekers, the massive motor yacht, luxury boat people.
Right, yeah.
Down there. And, as we are unloading our gear into a taxi to get us back to the port, this guy rolls up in a Rolls Royce and looking at us like we were alien beings. Anyway, so we went down, loaded all our stuff onto multiple trolleys onto the boat. We booked a cabin. We got on the boat. We went to the bar. Went to the cabin. Woke up in Jersey. It was really rough. Yeah. So the crew wouldn't let us take our belongings off the boat with us.
Right.
They said, no, we will bring them all off the boat for you. You walk down the gangplank, right, with someone holding you, right, for health and safety reasons.
Yeah.
Right. Wait at the bottom, and then our staff will bring all the stuff. And they brought all the stuff down, but then we said, is that everything? Can we go back and check? No, you can't get back on the boat. That's everything.
Yeah.
Right. So off we went. We got a phone call. Bernie got a phone call from his friend who knew him, who worked at the docks, who said, and I think the exact words were, "You smelly son." Well, I'm not going to say the exact words.
It's fine. Go for it.
You smelly bastard, right? And he's like, "What?" He said, was that your squash bag? I had to put my hand in. And he goes, why do you have to put your hand in it? He said, because it was left behind and we had to search the luggage. And it's like, oh, yeah, we had a game of squash in Portsmouth. And, you know, and he goes, right. He said, oh, I wondered where that was. And he said, oh, by any chance have you got my toolkit? Which is in an aluminium case. And it was electrician's toolkit. So screwdrivers and earthing stuff and things like that. And the guy went, oh, is that yours, Bernie? And he goes, yeah. He said, you better go down to the police station.
Oh.
Why? Well, this, that and the other. And he got so worried that he insisted his heavily pregnant partner went down with him.
Right.
To garner sympathy.
Yeah. Just in case.
Just in case. And what had happened was because they found this toolbox that they couldn't open because it was locked. It was an aluminium toolbox. And when they x-rayed it, right, because this was a long time ago, they just had simple x-rays. And they saw all these wires and things and stuff.
They thought it was something else.
So they thought it might be a bomb. So they took it to the end of the pier and carried out a controlled explosion on it.
Oh, my goodness.
So the headline of the local Jersey Evening Post the next day, because it was like a colloquial local paper, daily paper. So the headline was, police on the hunt for the Jersey bomber.
It was you guys. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was him.
Yeah, not you.
No, not me.
It was
not me.
Bernie.
No, it was him. But yes, that's not an interview story, but that was part of our journey.
That
to
was your
Jersey that I
move.
left
My
out
goodness.
earlier. Yeah.
Mark, you become a bit of a legend in Perth for your colourful suits. What's the
Okay.
story behind them, and what do they say about you and how you show up in business?
Okay, so I've always liked to wear a bit of colour in terms of a shirt with a suit. But our suits, we started getting them from my partner's brother. He's a tailor in Ipoh in Malaysia. So it means we get a really nice tailor-made suit, right, for a lot less money than we would spend in Perth. And it supports him because the first batch we ordered was during COVID and he had nothing, right? And he was going through a bad time. So we ordered like 4 suits. Yeah. And but the ones we ordered initially, they were black and they were grey, right?
Safe colours.
Yes. And then the next one I ventured to a navy, right? And then the next one, he was like saying, well, what colour do you want? And I went, oh, Dennis, surprise me, right? Didn't think any more of it. So when the suit turned up and I unzipped the suit jacket, the suit bag, I opened it up and I went, I'm not bloody wearing that. It was quite a bright maroon.
Right, quite different.
And I thought, if I was 20, 30 years younger, I'd put it on. And I'm not wearing that, right? And then it was like, well, I've spent all this money on it. And what else am I going to do with it? So what I did is I thought, I'm going to a networking event, right? So at least I'll get in some photos, probably. Yeah. So I wore it to the networking event. And to my surprise, people were coming up and going, oh, I love the suit. Where did you get that?
So
I love the colour of the suit, you know. That's a fantastic suit. Can't miss you, right, in a dark room, all that kind of stuff. And sure enough, when all the social media photos went on LinkedIn, I was in virtually every photo.
Great.
Right? And I thought, oh, there's a thing, right? So that's really the history of it. It's not because I was always flamboyant in my clothes, because I wasn't, right? And it wasn't. And then, so I then, for my more boring suits, I decided, well, I'll have more colourful shirts instead. Nice. Yeah. That's it, really. Yeah. It's nothing more than that. And much to my surprise, Ian kind of followed me a little bit in some of the suit colours. Not in the shirt colours. I know in the shirt colours, he's definitely a white, a black, or a blue. Sure. He won't wear any other colour of shirt, right? But he did get a very light baby blue suit and a green suit. Nice. And when he got those and wore them, I was like, really? I never have thought Ian would wear that. Right, but actually he rocks them. He does.
I've seen him. Yeah, it really suits you guys, and it's a really nice brand touch as well. And I know through working with you guys, now correct me if I'm wrong, you allow your staff to wear something that they're comfortable in?
Yeah, so although we brand like shirts,
Yeah.
whatever, tops, what we say like to the men is we don't go and buy them a shirt. I mean, we get our shirts made by Dennis in Malaysia, but for everyone else we say, look, just go and buy some nice business shirts
Sure.
that you like, right? We'll pay for them and then we'll get them branded, right? So, and then for the ladies, we do the same thing. We know that, ladies aren't going to wear a suit and a shirt mostly, right?
Yeah.
Some are comfortable in polo shirts, but some aren't, right? So we just say, look, here's a catalogue of lots of different clothes types, or go and buy something and we'll pay for it, whatever, and we'll just brand it for when you're on Teams in a meeting or when you're visiting a customer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most of them take us up on that and have a variety of clothing that's got the Tango brand on it. And for us, that, again, it's like it's putting that brand out there, right? And because our people, although we got this very unique employment model, everyone thinks they must be contractors. They're not. They're all employees. And so that accentuates it. They are Tango.
Part of the team.
Part of the team of Tango only, not some other team as well, not some independent as well.
And doing sort of part-time hours, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Mark, how has business changed you?
I'm not entirely sure that business has changed me. I think age has changed me. I think mistakes I've made in my personal life have changed me. If I'm being honest, probably some of business has changed me, but it's been more of that growth over the years of learning to not be quite so much of an arsehole as I was.
Love the honesty. Yeah.
But I think Tango has changed me because of the focus it brings, right? I've never been a particularly focused individual in the past.
Sure.
I have in certain areas,
Yeah.
things that excite me, but that's usually a one thing or this thing, right? What Tango has done is, because the whole of Tango excites me and still does 6.5 years in from launching Tango, 7 years from coming up with the idea, that that focuses me better because I've got to focus on what Tango is and what we want it to become, which is much more than just one simple thing. Yeah.
And if you could go back to when you first finished your chartered accountancy studies, what's one bit of advice you give yourself and why?
That's a really tough question because I think probably a couple of years later, I was earning an obscene amount of money doing computer sales. Because back in those early days where the IBM PC had only just come out, margins on everything, like margins on hardware was 40%, margins on software was 60%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was paid on, my commission was based on margin.
Sure.
So that gave me the freedom to give a discount if necessary. But basically, the incentive for me was don't give a discount because my commission was based on my margin. And I had a base salary as well and other stuff. So as a very young person in my kind of early mid-20s, I was earning a huge amount of money. And when I came out of that, I had nothing. So if there was advice I would give to my former self is don't just go and blow it all. Yeah?
Yeah.
However, if I gave that advice to my 23-year-old self, he would have probably gone, oh, bugger off. Yeah. I'll do what I want to do, right? So it wouldn't have had a lot of effect.
I guess you realise that as one gets older, you realise the value in saving and
Yes, yeah. There were, over the years, there's so many things I could have done with that, which would have set me up and made me very comfortable. But I don't know. Then I wouldn't have had the hunger to do what I'm doing with Tango.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all kind of works out.
Yeah, because I'd have been lazy.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I don't need it. So there we go. I think, and I think that whenever I hear that question, what would you tell your younger self? I always kind of add, but I wouldn't have listened.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
True.
Right?
Yeah. Mark, at this point in your life, what's worth breaking the rules for?
What's worth breaking the rules for? Family. Helping someone who needs it. And I suppose you can be selective about the rules you're going to break. So if they don't hurt anyone else, then there's part of me that says, well, rules are there to be broken.
Yeah.
But if they're going to hurt someone, then they're there for a good reason, and just obey them.
Yeah.
Right? Just do the right thing.
And I was wondering, does your daughter still do her dancing?
She does, not competitively anymore.
Okay.
So she went through a period where she'd lost the dance partner that she'd won the championships with. She never really found anyone that she connected with at the same level. And so she kind of lost her enjoyment from dancing.
Yeah.
And she didn't do any kind of formal dancing for a long time. But although I've never been there because she wouldn't let me, I've heard that at a music festival or on the dance floor in a nightclub, she rocks the place. She just just like clears the floor. But then a few years back, what happened was actually more than a few years back. When I got divorced over here, and I was on my own, I started to go and learn salsa and bachata, like street Latin. And so then I asked my daughter one time, because we were going out once a week for dinner, and I said, well, how about, would you like to come along to street Latin, right?
Yeah.
And have a go. And when she said yes, I was like, yes, right, because I was desperate to get her back dancing and see her dancing again. And I also had this stupid misconception that because I'd been doing it for about 2.5 years and I was in like the advanced class, that actually I would be better than her to start with until she caught up.
Right.
20 minutes into the very first session, the guy who ran the dance school came over to her and said, I need a teacher, do you want to do it?
Oh my goodness.
To her. And she was like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. Right?
Yeah.
She was just following, right? And she said, I don't want to teach anyway, right? But that quickly made me realise that all she needed was 10 minutes and
back into it,
and she was there. So, but that became our weekly daddy and daughter time.
Great.
We'd go out,
that's important.
have a bite to eat, do a salsa or bachata lesson, and then I'd usually then have, afterwards I'd have one dance with her to make sure I'd actually remembered what was in the lesson and capable of doing it. And then I'd go to the bar and watch the queue of guys line up to ask her for a dance. Yeah?
Right.
And
did you bat them off?
well, I would... No, she wanted a dance.
Yeah,
so
of
she'd
course.
happily have a dance with all of them.
Yeah.
Right? I was metaphorically stood there with my shotgun ready to take out the first one who made a bad move. But she now lives in Canberra, and she does still dance, but only, it's not competitively. She does a few kind of display shows in a dance troupe, and she goes for fun. Yeah. I would love to see her back dancing competitively. There was a point years ago, we were on a cruise going up the coast of West Australia from Perth up to Exmouth and back.
Nice. It's a great cruise.
And she came to me on the ship and said, I've just had a call, right, from, and I'm trying to remember the lady's name. She was the casting director of Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, wow.
And apparently they had this star, this celebrity, who was short and young. And they thought, well, Katie would be the perfect fit.
Right.
And they wanted Katie to be one of the professional dancers on the show. And I said to the woman, I said, so what would this involve? And she said, well, she'd have to come over to Melbourne for 3 months for all the filming, right? And she'd have to sign a waiver and blah, blah, this, that and the other and, you know, join the union and all this, that and the other. And I said, 3 months in Melbourne. I said, but she's in final year of high school.
Yeah. Oh, so...
And the woman was like gobsmacked. She went, oh, we thought she was in her 20s.
Oh.
Right? I said, she's 5 foot nothing tall, right? How can you think she's in her 20s? Oh, because she's connected to all these other professional dancers on social media, and they all talk about her as though she's amazing. And then we've seen videos of her when she won the ballroom championships and Latin as well. And I'm like, well, that's who she is. That's how old she is. And they went, oh, well, then we can't take her then.
Oh, so too young.
I was gutted more than she was.
Yeah.
Because again, I don't think she wanted to teach. And of course, the professional dancers on Dancing with the Stars teach the celebrities.
Got it, right.
They choreograph everything and teach them.
Yes.
And I think that whilst that it was exciting, she was kind of very nervous about, I'll have to go and teach. I don't want to teach. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so an opportunity missed by 6 months, maybe.
Right. Yeah. And she won't get back into the professional dancing because?
I think the amount of time and effort it takes to get back up to that level.
Yeah, like any sport really.
Yeah, and initially to get back into it and up to that level, she'd need a partner, dance partner.
Yes.
And she's living in Canberra, which is like, you know, it's just...
Yeah,
it's the
really
sleepiest village that shuts at 8.
Yeah, it's not really the right scene.
No.
Yeah.
So I think that's something I hope she keeps doing for fun. Yeah, but I can't ever see her doing it competitively again.
Yeah, and I think you've highlighted something really important in that story is that the power of a great partnership, whether it's, you know, in sport, in business, in marriage, like that partnership can bring out like the best in you.
Yes.
And help you achieve things that you may have never achieved had you not, you know, partnered up with that person.
Yeah, the year they won the championship, it was at the Hisense Arena in Melbourne. Yeah, massive arena.
Yeah.
And, you know, so basically their first heat for one of the dance sets was kind of like 8:30 in the morning. And the final for their ballroom was 10 o'clock at night.
Oh my goodness, so the whole day.
Yeah.
Wow.
And when it came to, there was an evening break before the finals that were being televised. We were going out to dinner and I went and said, look, do you want to come out to dinner? And her and her dance partner, Daniel, they went, oh no, we're just going to chill here. And literally they were just chilling. And they were talking to the people they were going to compete against and just having a bit of fun, right? And they came out that evening and, you know, if you watch ballroom dancers, right, they have these false, sometimes guppy-like smiles.
Right.
Right? Which is...
How does that go?
You only get one chance to see that.
Oh, damn, I have to replay.
But her smile when she danced was always hugely genuine. She was just loving
she loved it.
She loved to perform, not to compete. So that night, they went out and performed. Although they were in the final, they weren't competing.
Yeah.
Right? And her coach, her ballroom coach, he was sat next to me and he looked at them dancing that evening and he said, I have never seen them dance this well.
Wow.
Right? And so they won all 5 dances, which is also
Amazing.
Unusual.
True.
And in the Dance Review magazine that came out afterwards, right, it just talked about her smile and her relaxed.
So alive, yeah.
How relaxed she was. And that was the key for them. It was they went out there to perform and enjoy. They didn't go out there to compete.
Yeah.
And she struggled to find that. When she lost that dance partner, the next one that came along was competitive. It was always talking about, we should have beaten them. Oh, we can beat them. Right?
Yeah.
And that turned her off. She didn't want that. She just wanted to go out and perform.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, I think that's what destroyed it for her, was not having that enjoyment out of it. It turned into competition, which wasn't what resonated with her.
Mark, any final words of wisdom for someone who is thinking of starting a business?
Words of wisdom. I'm not sure I'm a person of wisdom.
Oh, I've spoken with you heaps. I know you are.
Look, don't get upset when things don't go to plan.
I needed to hear that.
And don't deride yourself when you make a mistake, because we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
And as long as you learn from them, and also, despite what I said earlier about, people sometimes go into business for the wrong reasons, thinking they're going to have, lots of time and lots of space and lots of enjoyment and this, that, and the other. In the early years, you don't have that. However, in all honesty, I would say don't overwork it. If you're doing 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, right, you'll burn out.
I know you've given me that pep talk before.
I suppose it was easier for me not to do that because I'm older and I just couldn't manage it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So all I would say is it still works. Right? You just find other ways of making it work. And it might initially slow you down. It might, but actually what it usually does is force you to think of smarter ways of doing stuff in less time, or weeding out the stuff that's not really that essential to your next target.
Yeah.
Right? So look after yourself.
Yes.
Right? Make it fun.
Yeah. Mark, where's the best place for our listeners to go should they wish to connect with you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. And you could go to our website, tangoit.com.au, and give me a call, right? My mobile number, happy for anyone to have it, 0432 175 745. Give me a call, we'll go for a coffee.
Yeah, well, you heard it here. Mark, thank you so much for everything that you've shared today. To our listeners, having worked with both Ian and Mark and seen what these guys are doing, I believe you guys are one to watch out for. And it's really just so great to see a business that understands the power of brand and how important that is. And I know we've got Ian coming on the show, I think in a couple of months' time, so we'll have his episode as well.
Yeah, so he can get his own back on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I then don't have a right to reply, so he gets the last word. Damn, I should have thought of that.
Oh, we have to get you back on. Mark, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tracy.